Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast, where we share valuable tips and information in the Amazon and e-commerce space. Each week, we deliver the best interviews with some of the top Amazon personalities in the industry to help you grow your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Getida, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at Getida.com/Sellernomics. And now, here are your hosts, Rob Stanley and Lisa Kinski.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Sellernomics. My name is Lisa Kinski. I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Stanley. And today's guest is a new friend of ours, a new partner to Getida, but we're very excited to have her on. We have Debi Slaver with us from SPCTEK, and we're going to be talking about how to enhance your Amazon sales with stellar account management. So let's go on ahead and bring her on. Debi, how are you?
Oh, great, Lisa. Thank you, Rob, for having me today.
We are very excited to have you on and return the favor. So a little shameless plug here. I recently appeared on the SPCTEK podcast. If you check out their YouTube channel, for the audio listeners, it is SPCTEK. Just search that on YouTube and you'll find my appearance on episode 3. Debi runs a great show over there, so be sure to subscribe after you subscribe to the Getida channel. But for today, we are your hosts, Debi, and you are our incredible guest. And we want to jump straight into the content for today. So our first question for you is, what are the 3 pillars of Amazon account health?
Well, Lisa, we believe it's customer service, product policy, and then, oh gosh, let me start over. Okay, well, Lisa, I'm sorry. We believe it's customer service, product policy, and shipping performance as the 3 main things on your account that need to be taken care of by you.
Okay. What do you mean by product policy? Talk to us more about that.
Well, okay, so there's product policy is kind of the compliance to the selling policies that Amazon has set up in the guidelines. It covers everything from, say, accurate product descriptions to IP rights and even some prohibited products.
Gotcha.
Nice. And why is customer service considered one of those pillars? I mean, you gave great pillars there. I understand a couple of them, but customer service?
Amazon prioritizes customer service and a customer experience. And that's really, I mean, especially if you're on Amazon, if we're talking directly about Amazon, you know, that's what Amazon prioritizes. That's what they set a lot of their data on, you know, for buy box and stuff like that. Also, as any company, you want happy customers to return, to give you more purchases, to give you more positive reviews, because that attracts other customers. And conversely, unhappy customers will leave you negative reviews, and that can hurt you and lead to chargeback returns and stuff like that. But primarily because Amazon prioritizes a positive customer experience. It builds trust with your buyers and the marketplace. And you want people to feel confident in you when they actually, buy something from you. Amazon has 2 types of reviews. They have the product review, which everyone is most likely familiar with, because you look to see what have other people said. But they also have what they call an A to Z guarantee. And that's to protect the buyers from any negative experience with a seller. So your high customer service just reduces the chance that any buyers are going to file a claim against you that could negatively impact your seller ranking.
Yeah. Debi, I want to follow up with, could you give us maybe a quick example of a customer service issue that sellers might face or deal with?
Yeah. So one of those might be order defect rate. One of the things that you need to really make sure is that you have quality product, that people are receiving goods that don't have some defects to them. And also make sure that you have a shipper that is reliable and not ruining the product on the way. order defect rate, or ODR, is actually the number of orders, or the percentage of orders that have a problem, which could be a return, could be breakage, could be cancellation, could be chargeback. So if you have a high ODR, it can actually lead to account suspension. So watching your order defect rate is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting and really important to point out that sellers need to be focused on the customer service experience, because more often than not, we hear sellers say that, well, really it's Amazon's customer, right? And I think they have that opinion because of the, consumer data, and they can't really retarget, but it's definitely still very important for their seller ranking. And what would you say are some of the best practices that you can share with us today for maintaining high customer service standards on Amazon with kind of that limited interaction?
Yeah, and I would say be proactive. If you see, like, we know that from Amazon Prime Day, there was a lot of late shipments because of the Microsoft outage.
Oh, geez.
Oh, wow.
I mean, seriously, I got notice myself from something I bought on Amazon. Amazon was right on top of it and said, please note that some of our shippers were impacted by this. But I was just so thankful that they told me ahead of time, because especially with Amazon, people get really used to what day it's supposed to be here on Monday. It's supposed to be here on Tuesday. So be sure that you respond really quickly and clearly. And I say clearly because make what you say courteous, but also easy to understand, so that somebody's not kind of turning their head while they're reading it going, what are they trying to tell me, right? Offer solutions. If a customer does contact you, give them a solution. And then just regularly monitor reviews, areas where you can make improvement on either the product or your company. And then just adapt your company based on the feedback that you get from your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Debbie, if sellers are going to respond to some of these feedback, first of all, I guess kind of the first question is, should they respond to some of this feedback? And then any tips you could give on how they could give a proper response? If there's an issue with an item, or say they went from version 1 to version 2 of something and they fixed past issues, but maybe the person had an older version. What's your whole thoughts on replying to buyers that have left, maybe not a perfect feedback?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely essential that you respond. Whether you're responding to Amazon that is inquiring about something, or you're responding to a customer, again, quick response. Make sure that you are responding. And like I said, when it comes to customers, offer some type of a resolution. I'm sorry is nice to hear, but what can you do for me? I mean, the reason they complained is because they need something done to help them with their experience and stuff like that. So, identify if there's something that you can do for them, and make a solution, offer them a solution as to what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah, that's good.
I was going to say, back on product policy, because I think it's difficult sometimes for sellers to understand really what Amazon's policies are on certain things. Kind of to your point, Debbie, when you're giving a response to customers or to buyers, you want to be very clear and not have them kind of turning their head saying, what are they saying here? Whereas most sellers feel that way when they read Amazon's policies. So how do you recommend that they ensure that the seller is working within Amazon's policies and guidelines so that they don't get a policy violation warning?
Yeah. And so, of course, there's Seller Central, where they will always let you know about updates on policies and things like that. And you can look things up. The seller forums are also very helpful for if you have a question. Sometimes, especially if you're a newer seller, there are people that have been on there for a really long time who can give you some advice. They're so helpful. Other sellers really do enjoy helping other sellers. And so I think it's just really important that you at least make an effort to update yourself on things. Most people think, we set the product up, we ship it off to FBA, and now I don't have to worry about anything except the money rolling in, right? But it's not that way. It's a business, and you have to pay attention. You have to look at, what is being said out there about the product, about yourself. Like I said, you have to adapt to what comments are being made about what you're selling or the way that it's being shipped or stuff. FBA does help with a lot of customer service issues. If you're using fulfillment by Amazon, they help, they deal with the returns, and you don't have to do that. But there's still times when you need to make sure things are you just need to watch and make sure things are being taken care of.
Absolutely. Gone are the days of selling on Amazon being a side hustle. I like what you said. It is a business and you have to pay attention to it. One
Yeah.
last question before we go to our commercial break is, what steps should a seller take if they do receive a policy violation warning?
Well, and again, the first thing that I always tell people is make sure that you respond. I am often amazed at the number of people who get in touch with us whose account has been deactivated and will say, well, you got this warning on such and such a day. What did you do? No, I didn't do anything. Well, then you got another one on such and such a date. What did you do? Well, I read it. I didn't know what to do with it, right? And so the big thing is, if Amazon is contacting you, you need to know that they want something from you. They don't want to see a red receipt. I read it, right? They want you to do something about whatever it is that they've contacted you about. And so if you yourself don't understand it, again, perfect time to go to the seller forum, perfect time to actually, even contact support if you can. And I know a lot of support nowadays is really done through email, and it takes a little bit longer for the response, but I think it's important that you do respond.
Yeah, don't leave Amazon on red, you guys. It's not nice. You don't want to be left
No.
on red.
I think I always say this too, that, if you're past due on a bill and a letter comes from them in the mail, not opening it does not mean you won't be past due.
It won't go
Sure.
away. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's not going away. If you get something from Amazon, you need to open it and figure out how to resolve it. There's plenty of professionals out there, as well as sellers out there, that can help you determine what's going on. There's a lot of very good groups on almost all of the social medias, LinkedIn, Facebook, and stuff like that. So if you feel like you don't have the expertise, you can easily get some of that information. And sometimes I find AI to be really helpful nowadays.
That is exceptional advice. Debbie, we are going to take a quick break to hear a message from our sponsor, but we will be right back in just a couple seconds.
Boosting your Amazon FBA profits have never been easier. Thanks, Getida. We handle the complex process of FBA refund recovery so that you don't waste time. Sellernomics listeners, claim your first $400 in free reimbursements by visiting Getida.com/Sellernomics. Experience hassle-free profit growth with Getida today.
All right, y'all. Be sure to head over to Getida.com/Sellernomics for your first 400 in FBA reimbursements free. We are back with Debbie with SPCTEK talking about your maintaining stellar account performance, account health. Those are the words I was trying to say.
Account health. Account health management. Debbie, you brought up a great point when you were talking about, some of these policy violations. When I sold, I ended up getting one. And to be honest, I hear this a lot, is people are confused sometimes on, well, what is the violation? It's not clear. It's not like black and white, like here's your violation. And sometimes you get these things and you read them and you're like, so what was the violation?
Yeah.
And I've had that happen before. And I loved how you gave a great example of going to different groups or different websites, reaching out to people or to even Amazon to try to clarify this, but do something. Don't just leave it hanging there. Yeah. And that's great advice. Absolute great advice, because I see on boards or groups I'm on all the time, people will post that violation they got and they're like, I don't even understand what this violation is. and there's people there to help them. Because others have probably gotten it, so, but don't just post that letter. Try to explain what you think it might be, because that'll also help. What about shipping? Is that considered one of these pillars?
Yeah.
When it comes to account? And then just to clarify, I mean, a lot of sellers, if you're not aware, when we're talking about shipping, if there's shipping issues with FBA, that actually falls on Amazon. But if you're FBM
Yes.
and where you're shipping yourself, so just go ahead and take it from there.
Yeah, so there's actually 3 key shipping metrics that you always want to keep in mind, especially if you are shipping it yourself. There's the one on-time delivery rate. So that's called OTDR. And for your account metrics, 97% of your orders need to arrive on time. Okay. And so there's not a lot of room. Of course, it depends upon your volume. And it's intended, that's why it's set up as a percentage, but there's also the late shipment rate. So not only do your orders have to arrive on time, but less than 4% can arrive late. All right. That's efficiency, reliability in your fulfillment process. And then there's the valid tracking rate, which is VTR, which means that you have input the correct tracking number, because there's nothing more frustrated to somebody who's purchased, who gets a tracking number and they click on it, and whatever carrier it is saying, we don't have that information yet. And you're doing that for 3 days trying to find out what's going on, right? But this allows people to just track their own packages and provide them. So again, your on-time delivery rate, your late shipment rate, and your valid tracking rate. If you are shipping yourself, those are extremely important, probably your 3 key metrics to keep in mind in order to keep your account healthy and stay high in Amazon's algorithm.
What about if you're using FBA though? Because I've received, FBA shipments, through Prime membership late before. They've been delayed, or I had one that totally didn't show up at all, but I think that might have been FBM. So we'll disregard that. But how does that impact the seller? Because like Rob had just said, if it's FBA, that's kind of on Amazon's onus. But from my perspective, that's going to come up in the review that I write, like, hey, it showed up late or it didn't show up at all. So is that part of that A to Z guarantee?
That is part of the A to Z guarantee. And again, this is one of the reasons why you have to be paying attention to your account health, because it comes up as an A to Z, but you have to respond to it and let Amazon. So it's not, Amazon's not going to be looking at, this 1.9 million sellers out there to see, oh, we have an FBA problem, right? You have to be looking for that. You have to watch your FBA. And I think this very well from Getida and what y'all do with the, fulfillment reimbursements and stuff, that somebody's got to pay attention to some of these metrics, and you have to really watch to see what is happening with your fulfillment. And then you have to let Amazon know, and you can get those taken off, your A to Z claims removed. As part of our full account or account health management, we do take care of your A to Z claims for you.
Gotcha.
Very
Good
nice.
note there.
Yeah, Debbie, just out of curiosity, we're talking about these kind of 3 pillars and how they interconnect and to make kind of a healthy account. Is there any one, I mean, you have to keep them all obviously in check and make sure they're above certain standards, but is there different weighted, is if you're kind of, let's say, faltering a little on one, but the others are doing better, are you still within the overall healthy account? Like, kind of how does that work?
So, I will say that truthfully, your product policies may be the ones that can get you into the most trouble, because they can actually get you, a listing taken down, or they can get your whole account suspended. If you don't have approved suppliers and stuff like that. The product policy, really making sure that you understand exactly what Amazon's policy is extremely important. And, this is ever changing. Amazon, mentions, I just found out recently, and I didn't know this, how you're supposed to have a photo of the product on a white background, except if you're selling furniture.
Oh, interesting.
Sure, it is
I don't
advised
think I
that
knew
you have
that.
a lifestyle and you do not have to have a white background. And if you have a white background, you have a lower seller rate
Huh.
because
That
people
is,
want to see furniture in a lifestyle setting.
yeah, that's so interesting. I've never
I
heard that before either.
didn't know that. Didn't
Yeah,
know that. There's
so
a
it's
great tip.
just little things like that, especially if you do have a niche and you sell within a specific category, finding out everything you can to be key to increase your sales and stuff like that. As simple as just the thumbnail that's coming up when people put the search word in so that they know what to do. But yeah, I think the product policy, making sure you don't make claims, you don't cure cancer, it's used by people who have cancer. There are different things that there are some words that you just cannot say. And I do have people all the time who will say, I'll give you a perfect example. I had someone who came to me that they were saying that something was acid washed. Well, the little AI bots on Amazon picked up acid and thought that it was a chemical, and so they started getting chemical warnings. And to your point where you said, sometimes you're not sure what they when the people got this, they were like, what are they talking about, chemicals? There's no chemicals in, I mean, there might be in the process, but there's no chemicals in what we're selling. And you think it's so obvious because you have a picture of the product that they should be able to look at that and say, there's no acid in this, but you have to remember that the only way that Amazon is effective is by their little AI bots who are in the background, who are just searching through hundreds of thousands of millions of, product descriptions. They're looking for keywords and things like that that they can see, that they can kind of just report, right? And so I think it's really important for you to understand that I will often say it's kind of like if you think of Amazon as being a huge mall, okay? And you've got millions of little shops in there, some of them big, some of them small. You have to have policies in place. Otherwise, people would be, you know, telling you things that you didn't know whether you could believe or not. And Amazon, again, wants to have a trustworthy marketplace.
Mhm.
They're
They
trying
do.
really hard to make sure that it's trustworthy.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, Debbie. So at the time of recording, the Microsoft meltdown, we'll call it, just occurred over the weekend, right? And kind of in the vein of, what trends do you see in how Amazon handles account health measuring in the future? What do you think is going to be the fallout for sellers from this last weekend? Like for those, especially selling FBM, where they had a lot of the shippers who couldn't get the inventory out. Do you think there's going to be some grace on Amazon's side of like, okay, hang on, the whole world shut down.
Yeah,
Let's skip
yeah.
over this, like, what do you think?
I do think there will be, but I'm going to say that with the caveat that if you contact them, I don't think they're just going to automatically do it. But if you contact them and let them know, hey, my A to Z claim this shipment was late due to the Amazon or the Microsoft, you know what I'm saying? And let them know what it is. I think that makes, again, it's a business and you have to take some activity in it. You have to take some responsibility and you have to watch for these things. There will be A to Z claims filed, I'm certain, but
Sure.
I can tell you that Amazon sending out the notification, they sent it to people who were not only FBA, but also FBM. So they did kind of in advance notify FBM customers as well. And so I think for them, it was easier to just send it out to anybody who'd made purchases during that period of time that had not yet received their package.
Yeah.
Because I had received one package already. I didn't get any notice on that, but on the other package, and I'm pretty sure it was FBM, I did receive the notification that it was running later than usual due to the Microsoft outage, software outage.
I love that tip you just gave about reaching out. That's a very proactive thing, right? So, is that something like that going forward? Is that something that you see that could be like a trend or something, or what kind of changes do you see or trends do you see when it comes to like handling account health in the future? Like, what's coming up? Should people be more proactive at kind of reaching out when they see an issue or know about an issue on their own account?
Yeah, I think you have to be a little bit more proactive and stuff. The growth on Amazon is not slowing down. Amazon just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more product and there's more sellers and there's all of this type of stuff. And again, when it becomes that big, they're using AI bots in the background to find things. They're not using humans. As a matter of fact, many of the things that Amazon has done are shifting to AI. Even you can see now you can do your product descriptions with AI. And Amazon's algorithm on some of the search keywords is changing as well. Amazon is going to a more experiential type of so instead of saying, I want the X fishing rod, okay, you might instead say, best fly fishing experience. It wouldn't be a keyword necessarily, but they're starting to use AI to make your shopping more experiential. So instead of typing in a keyword now, you'll get to the point that you'll be typing in, what would my experience be that I would need this? For instance, if I was selling some camping gear, and I said, I'm going to the Adirondacks camping, what would I need? Amazon would be able to create a list for you. And that's where I really see that they are going with their AI and stuff like that you're going to see some of the keyword tracking change and become more experiential.
Yeah, absolutely agree. On our sister podcast, Prime Talk, Yoni and I hosted a guest, Neil Twa. The episode's not out quite yet, but if you subscribe, you'll get the notification when it is. At the end of the episode, we had asked him, what are your predictions for e-commerce in the next 12 months? And he spoke a lot about the impact that Rufus is going to have and the need to begin optimizing your listings now for the changes that are to come, and spoke exactly to what you said about the keywords changing and the experience, right? They're going to be looking at the consumer that is typing in the search keywords, not the keywords trying to find the right consumer, if that makes sense. So
yeah, they're going to be using that consumer profile. If I've searched for 3 or 4 camping things, right? Then okay, this person is into camping and stuff. So now when I type in something, it will take that experience that it knows from me and apply it. I may not be looking for just a mattress. I might be looking for a camping mattress that I would use in a tent or something like that. And now they might pull up some things that are different than what I would have experienced when it was just keyword. Because if I typed in mattress for keyword, I would definitely get different search results than if I typed in mattress and it was thinking of me from a camping background.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Absolutely. It's almost like a Google search now. Like the keyword is a Google search term, like you just gave.
I have been saying for some time that sellers need to start thinking of Amazon as a small Google. Because it's really, it's basically the same thing. It is its own search engine. You have to go in and you have to look for things as you would in search or in Google. So there are going to be quite a few changes, I think, especially in the product descriptions. And like I said, there are going to be more mistakes because they're depending on AI to do some of this. It's going to take them a little while to get it fine-tuned.
I think the only kink in that I can see coming up would be for gifting. Because if I'm looking for a gift for a friend that is a very different style than I do, maybe we're both plant moms, but this is more bohemian and she prefers more contemporary like that. And I'm looking for a new plant pot. I feel like that's going to be, I'm interested to see how they personalize and also still give me the generic search that I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's we haven't seen it yet. So we don't really know. I know, I'm sure they're testing it in plenty of labs and stuff, trying to get an idea and stuff. But yeah, if I'm not, and a lot of what I'm buying on Amazon, I'm not buying for myself.
Yeah.
I'm buying for the business, or I'm buying for, like you said, gift giving or something like that. And so from that perspective, we need to be aware that it may take them a little while. You may see things that come up in the search and you may be like, what?
I was looking for that a month ago for my friend for a birthday gift, not anymore type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see how that goes. That's the whole theory, right? With people used to take their phone and talk into it about maybe like cat food and cat things, and they don't have a cat, and then they're getting ads all the time on Google. So yeah, it's going to take a while for it to learn. It still does happen. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Debbie, do you have any final thoughts or advice for sellers, or any topics that we didn't get to touch on today before we close out the episode?
I think really what I want people to understand is that all too frequently, we're looking at the whole entire experience on Amazon when you are a seller. And I really think that if you focus on your account health, you focus on the things that are important to your account health, it will make a difference as to whether you get the buy box. It will make a difference. Account health is built into Amazon's algorithms. And that's the reason why we tell you, to pay attention to it, because it matters, and that's what I would say. But also, as I said already in this, make sure you respond, whether it's to customers, whether it's to Amazon. Make sure you are communicating with whoever you need to be communicating with in order to ensure that your business stays in good health, in order to ensure that you continue to get top listings. All of that type of stuff is so important because of the account health.
Well, that is a great final note. Our last question for you, Debbie, is just where folks can learn more about SPCTEK, and for you to tell us more about what it is you all do, how you can help, and where they can get in touch.
Okay, well, our website is SPCTEK, SPCTEK.com. And you'll see a lot of information about the things that we do, account health. We also help with Amazon PPC and that type of stuff. But we do focus on account health, which means we get a lot of ASIN reinstatements and we get a lot of account reinstatements, because these are people who know and understand better than anybody else that the account health mattered, right? And so we just say that if you will prioritize these 3 pillars of customer service, product policy, and shipping performance, we can help you become better profitable. I do, as you mentioned, have my own podcast. It's called Ecom Insiders. That's available on YouTube, also Spotify. And if you want to hear more, you can always subscribe to our channel and get some as well.
Yes, definitely go give Debbie's podcast a like, subscribe. While you're at it, subscribe to Sellernomics. But just a friendly reminder, y'all can learn more about SPCTEK at SPCTEK.com. And you can reach out to Debbie and her team with any questions that you may have at contact@SPCTEK.com. Debbie, thank you so much for hopping on with us today, dear. Really appreciate your time and all of your insights, and looking forward to continue to work with you in the future.
All right, Lisa. Bob, thank you so much. Really do enjoy being on with you.
Yes, thank
Absolutely.
you, dear. Pleasure is all ours. And thank you so much for everyone who tuned in today. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, share your thoughts with us in the comments, subscribe to the show, and we will see you all on the next one.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, Getida. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at Getida.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.